Good morning, guys. Okay, today first we will discuss about the looping statements. Looping statements, right? The basic thing. What is the purpose of looping statement? Why we use in the looping statement in Java? Okay. The basic thing. Looping statements are used for looping statements are used for execute the statements repeatedly. Execute the statements repeatedly. Execute the statements repeatedly. Okay. So the main purpose of looping statements, which are used to execute the statements repeatedly. If you want to execute the same statement multiple times, in that time you should go approach with looping statements. In that time you should go approach with looping statement, right? So in the looping statements, we have the classification. First one is while loop. Okay. Second one is do while. Third one is for loop. Fourth one is nested for loop. And fifth one is for each loop. Okay, while loop, do while loop, for loop, nested for loop, for each loop. These are the classification we have under the looping statements. Looping statements. The main purpose of looping statements, which are used to execute the statements repeatedly. Then we have the classification, right? While loop, do while loop, for loop, nested for loop, and for each loop. So we'll try to understand one by one. First thing is while loop. When we'll go for while loop, the first thing is while loop, which is used to execute the statements until the condition is true. Which is used to execute the statements until the condition is true. Until the condition is true. While loop basically which is used to execute the statements until the condition is true, right? So I will show you the syntax. Is there any syntax for the while loop? Yes, we have the syntax. The syntax which is it should be like this. So first one we have the while is a predefined keyword, and here we need to take the condition. We need to take the condition, and from here to here this is the scope of the while block. Open curly braces and close curly braces. From here to here this is the scope of curly braces. If we have any statements, it will execute these statements repeated based on the condition. Based on the condition, it will repeat these statements multiple times. Based on the condition, it will be repeat the statements multiple times. It will repeat the statements repeatedly. Okay. Okay, I will write one program on it. Then you will get the clarity. So I am opening my folder. My demo is my folder, right? So here I am creating one file. The file name I am mentioning as while demo.java. Okay, and so always the class name and file name should be the same. Here what I am doing, public, I would say class, and while demo, and from here to here this is the scope of the class, right? And here we need to take the method. We need to take the public static void main and strings args, right? So in the looping statements, we need to remember three words. One is the initialization, second one is the updation, third one is the incrementer. Okay, we need to remember in three words. What is the three words? First one is the initialization. Okay, second one is condition. Okay, third one is increment or decrement. Increment or decrement. Okay, we need to remember these three words in case of looping statements, right? So right now, if you observe, I am doing the initialization for taking any variable. Int a equal to, I am taking 1. What does it mean? A is the variable which is holding the value is 1. This is called initialization. This is called variable initialization, right? Variable initialization. Okay, variable initialization, right? So the next thing what I'm taking the while is the keyword, and here from this is the scope of while block, right? This is the scope of while block. So here I am taking the condition a is less than or equal to anything. You can any take less than or equal to 10, less than or equal to 5, any number you can take, no issue. Okay, so in my case I am taking 10 as the condition. Okay, 10 as the condition. Okay, here I am taking system dot out dot println, system dot out dot println, and here I am mentioning the a. So if I mention the a, then what might be the result? This is this is the condition, right? This is the condition. This is the condition. Okay, I am saving the file, and if I execute the file, then you can observe what might be the result. It will print. It will print 1 to 10, right? No, you are saying yes. I am taking initialization. I am taking the condition. Then what might be the result? Hmm? Only one will print. Other answers infinite times. So we'll compile and execute, and then we'll see the result. So then you also get who will give the clarity. Java C and while demo.java. The file has successfully compiled Java and while demo, right? Uh, what it is doing? It is printing infinite. If I open my laptop after 1 hour also, it is continuously printing. If I open my laptop after 1 month also, it is continuously printing. If I open my laptop after 1 year also, it will be print continuously. Only the charging. If my laptop have the like enough charging, it will print continuously. Okay, it will print continuously. Are you guys clear with my point? Why it is continuously executing the same statement? Hmm. While loop basically until the condition is true, it will execute the statements repeatedly. So until whenever the condition is satisfied, then only it will the controller got terminated. So if the condition is not satisfied, the statements will execute repeatedly. Okay. So here we need to mention increment. We need to mention the increment. In my case, the increment is a plus plus. A plus plus. What does it mean by a plus plus? Hmm. So I'm saving this file, and I will execute the file javac while demo.java and while demo. So here printing the tel. So what will happen internally? I will show you through the MS Paint. Yeah. We are discussing about the looping statement. Looping statements we are discussing. What will happen in case of while loop? What will happen in case of while loop? Okay. Syntax should be like this, like while and condition, and then here this is the scope of while block, and it will we have the statements. Okay, until the condition is true, until the condition is true, it will execute the statements. Until the condition is true, until the condition is true, until the condition is true, these statements will be executed repeatedly. Okay, okay, fine. Then what will happen internally? I'm taking first I'm initializing. You need to remember three words. So I am initializing with some variable int a equal to 1. What does it mean? This is the initialization. Okay, this is the initialization, right? And next thing, I'm taking the while. While is the keyword, and we need to take the while. And here you can take the condition. So in my case, I am taking the condition a less than or equal to 5. Okay, and from here to here, this is the scope of while block. This is the scope of while block. Scope of while block. Okay, so here I am mentioning some statement. Any statement, if I mention like SOP statement, if I mention hello, okay, if I mention hello, then what will happen internally? So the first controller, so always the controller come top to bottom right, and first it will come to this line, and it will check the variable initialized or not initialized. The variable is initialized with the number 1, the number 1, okay, and it will check the condition. So 1 is less than or equal to 5 or not? Yes. So the condition is true. And then immediately the controller, it will go inside and it will execute it one time. It will execute it one time. Okay. If I not increment the a variable, what it will do? The controller, it will repeat the same statement multiple times. The same statement. If I open my laptop after 1 year also, it will execute the same statements. It will execute the same statements. So I need to mention increment. I need to mention increment. So here I am mentioning increment like a plus plus. A plus plus meaning increment by 1. Increment by 1, right? Increment by 1. This is the condition. This is the condition, and this is the increment by 1. Now what will happen? So the first control comes here, and it will check a is holding the value is 1. So a is less than or equal to, a is less than or equal to 5 or not? Yes, 5. So then the controller come inside and it will execute the statement at one time. Okay, and here what is happening? A is incremental, meaning initially A is having the value is 1, right? So this is the A block. A block, initially it is holding the value is A. This is the A, and initially A is holding the value 1. So after controller, whenever the controller comes here, so A is increment by 1, meaning instead of 1, it is holding the value is 2. Now the A value is 2, and it will check the controller come here, the controller come here, and it will check the condition 2 is less than or equal to 5. 2 is less than or equal to 5. Yes, the controller come inside and it will execute, and here it will a increment by 1. Then instead of 2, it is a is holding the value is 3. Now a is holding the value 3. Now a is holding the value 3, and again it will check the condition. Condition 3 is 5 less than or equal to 5. Yes. Again control come inside and it will print the statement at one time. And then a is increment by 1. Now instead of 4, it is holding the value is 4. Now again the value, it is holding the value is 4, and it will check the condition 4 is less than or equal to 5. Yes. And again it will print the this statement, and the a is increment by 1, meaning instead of 4, a is holding the value is 5. Okay. Now a is holding the value is 5, and a is less than or equal to 5. Yes. And it will come here and it will print the statement. Now it will increment by 1. Then instead of 5, it is holding the value is 6. 6, and now a is holding the value 6. Now it is come to here and it will check the condition. So 6 less than or equal to 5, false. So this is not valid. So at the time only that controller got terminated. So in the while case, you should remember, so until the condition is satisfied, it will continuously execute the statements repeatedly. It will continuously execute the statements repeatedly. So this is the process will happen internally. So we need to try to understand this process. Got it? This is the while loop. So in the while loop, we need to, in the while loop, do while loop, we will use three words: initialization, condition, and then increment, and then increment. Got it? While loop. So instead of this one, if I take anything, any string value also, the statement will execute repeatedly. If I take the hello, right? If I take the hello and I'm saving the file, and hello statement, this statement will print 10 times. It will print 10 times, right? Okay. Any question, anyone in this area? While loop, while loop. The first step we need to take the initialization. In the second step we need to take the condition, and third step we should take the increment or decrement. Increment or decrement. Okay. Any question in this area? Next thing is I would say do while loop. Do while loop. So the first thing is, so all these things like while main purpose, do while main purpose, for loop main purpose, all classification main purpose is to execute the statements repeated only. But we have the little differences. In case here it will execute the statements until the condition is true. Okay. And then in case of do while, so I will show you syntax and then I will get the definition of do while. Syntax for the do while loop. So first to have the do is also, do is the predefined result word only, while also result word only. Okay. Now do, and from here to here scope of do block, and here we are having some statements, SOP statements, and okay, and here we have the while block. Here we need to take the some condition. Okay. I will write one program here. I'm taking int x equal to int x equal to some 10 value, right? And not x, I'm taking int x equal to 1. I'm taking do, and from here to here I'm taking the scope of do block SOP statement. I'm mentioning like any variable, or I'm mentioning X, and I am mentioning the while. I'm mentioning the while. I'm mentioning the condition as X less than or equal to 5. Okay. So if I write this the same program and if I execute the same program, then what might be the result? This is the initialization, right? This is the initialization. Initialization. Okay. This one is condition. This one is the condition. Okay. And then if I execute the same program, then what might be the result? Then what might be the does not terminate. Okay, we'll see. I'm using the same file, right? So here I'm taking int x equal to 1 and then 2. From here to here, this is the scope of do block. Do block. Here I would say I'm mentioning some system dot out dot println while block. Here I'm taking the condition x less than or equal to 5. Okay. I'm saving the file. I am going to my command prompt and I am executing. The file has successfully compiled and java.while demo. So now you guys observe what it is doing. It is continuously printing, which is continuously printing. How to avoid this issue? We need to mention the increment, right? We need to mention the increment. So in my case, I mention the increment like this, I plus plus. Okay, I plus plus. I'm saving the file. I'm coming here and I'm stopping the termination. And again, I have compiled and I will execute. Compile the file and I will execute the file. Now you are getting the file. Now you are getting the file. Okay. Now you guys observe. This is the valid condition. Meaning x is holding the value is 10, holding the value is 1. 1 is less than or equal to 5, right? Now what I'm doing, instead of taking the less than, I'm taking the greater than. Greater than or equal to 5, anything. So this condition is 1 is holding the values, x is holding the values 1. 1 is less than or equal to 5. No. So this is the, I would say the condition whenever the controller goes to inside the condition, it will check the condition. The condition is false one. Okay. In this case also, I am executing the file and I am compiling the file and I am executing the file. Then you can observe what might be the result. So I am compiling the file and I am executing the file. You are getting only one. You are getting only one. So here the difference is, so before checking the condition, do while it will execute the statement at least one time. At least one time. The condition either true, either false, doesn't matter. It will execute at least one time. Before checking the condition in the do while block, it will execute at least one time. That is the only the difference between the while and do while, right? In the while loop, it will check the, it will execute the statements until the condition is true, right? In case of do while, it will execute the statements until the, before checking the condition, it will execute, execute at least one time. The same thing, it is also like based on the condition, it is also, it will execute the statements. While also it will based on the condition, it will execute the statements. But in the while loop, whenever the condition is, I would say, satisfied, whenever the condition is true, then only it will goes to the inside and it will execute the statements. But in case of do while, before checking the condition, it will execute at least one time. That is the only the difference between while and do while. Got it? Do while loop. So which is also used to execute the statements repeatedly. before checking the condition, before checking the condition, it will execute at least one time. It will execute the statements. It will execute the statements at least one time. Statements. It will execute the statements at least one time. At least one time. Okay. So the process what will happen internally, I will show you here. So 1 minute, I'm extending my page. Looping statements are very easy, guys. I'm taking different color. So the process, here further the statement. So what will happen internally? So here we are taking the value is the condition. So what will happen? The controller first it will come inside and it will X is holding the value 1, and the controller it will come inside and it will execute one time. It will execute one time. So if you not mention the any increment or decrement, then the controller it will print the same statement multiple times. The same statement it will print the same statement multiple times, right? Now here we need to mention incremental x plus plus. Whenever we mention the x plus plus, now x is initially x is holding the value is 1. Whenever you are mentioning the x plus plus, x is increment and x is increased by 1. Now x is holding the value is 2, right? And the controller come here, it will print second time, it will print second time, and it will go here and it will check the condition. 2 is less than or equal to 5? Yes. So the condition is true. Then the controller again come, it will iterate the loop. It will come here, it will print this statement the third time, and x is initially x is holding the 3 and x is increment by 1. Now x is holding the value is 4 and 4 is less than or equal to 5 is, yes, the condition is true. Then what will happen? Again the controller go inside the loop and it will execute the statement fourth time, and then x is increment by 1. Now x is holding the value is 5. X is less than or equal to 5 is, then the controller again go inside and it will print the statements, and x is increased by 1. Now the x is holding the value is 6. 6, it will check the condition. 6 is less than or equal to 5. No. So the controller got terminated here. Got it? So this is the process. It will happen internally. Okay. This is all about do while. So the next one we have the for loop. Next for loop also where so how it should be. So for loop main purpose also, which is used to execute the statements repeatedly only. Uh, how the syntax here is, this is very easy. For loop, right? So syntax, the main purpose of for loop also to execute the statements repeatedly only. Okay. Syntax for the for loop. So first one here, for is the keyword, right? Okay. If you observe here, if you observe while and do while, so here what we did, Initialization which is in at one line. It is present in one line, it is present in one line, and it is present in one line, right? So basically, I would say three are in three different lines, right? In case of do while also, like initialization which is in one line, and condition which is in one line, which is in one line. But in case of for loop, all should be in the same line only. Here initialization, next one condition, increment or decrement, increment or decrement. So this is the only the difference. So here, uh, these all in different lines. But in case of for loop, all should be in the same line only. Initialization, condition, increment or decrement, right? Increment or decrement. Okay. Here we have the SOP statements. Here I am taking some text here. Okay. So I will write some program and then I'll show you how the process which is happens internally. Int x equal to 1, right? For is the keyword. I've taken initial here initialization you should take here only. Okay. For is the keyword. First thing initialization, right? I need to take the initialization. So initialization I am doing like int some anything x equal to or I equal to anything you can take I equal to 1, right? I equal to 1, and then second one condition. Okay, second one is condition. I am taking the condition I less than or equal to 5. Okay, next thing is increment or decrement. Next thing is increment or decrement, right? So I am increasing I plus plus. I am increasing I plus plus, right? And here this is the scope of for loop. Here I am making some SOP statement. I am making SOP statement. Okay. I will write the same program. I will execute, and then after execution completed, then we'll try to understand what will happen internally. Okay. I'm coming to my file. So here the same file I am using here also for keyword and int I equal to 1, right? Next thing is I less than or equal to 5, right? And I plus plus. Next thing I would say SOP statement system dot out dot println, right? So here I am mentioning hello. I'm saving the file and I'm going here. The file has successfully compiled. So I'm getting the hello is file. I'm getting the hello 5 times. Okay. What will happen internally is, if you observe here, the first controller come here. Okay. It will check the initialization. I is the variable which is holding the value is 1. Okay, fine. Then controller, it will check the condition. Immediately it will check the condition. So condition 1 is less than or equal to 5. Yes, the condition is true. Then immediately it will come here and it will print the statements, and then I is increased by 1. I is increased by 1. Now I is holding the value. I is holding the value is 2, right? Instead of I, now it is holding the value is 2. Now it will check the condition. 2 is less than or equal to 5? Yes. Then the controller, it will print the SOP statement and it will again increment by 1. Now I is holding the value 3. I is holding the value is 3. Immediately we check the condition. 3 is less than or equal to 5? Yes. Then it will print the statements and again it will increase by 1. Now I is holding the value is 4. 4 is less than or equal to 5. Yes. Then it will print the statements. It will print the statements and again it will iterate. It will again it will come here and it will increase by 1. Now I is holding the value is 5 and then it will print at what time? It will print at one time and then again it will come here and I is increased by 1. Now I is holding the values 6, right? Then it will check the condition. 6 is less than or equal to 5? No. So until the condition is true, it will continuously looping the statements, iterate looping the statements, right? So this is all about the for loop. So in case of for loop, so all the condition, initialization, condition, increment or decrement should be in the same line only. Same line only. In case of while and do while, they are in three different lines actually. In case of for loop, all are in same line. All are in same line. Initialization, condition, increment or decrement. Then in the interview perspective, they will ask the difference. Okay, we have the while loop and we have the for loop, right? So they both are we are using till now. The both are for executing the statements repeatedly, right? Then what is the difference between the while and for loop? What is the difference between the while and for loop? This is the interview perspective. They will ask the questions, right? Are you guys clear with my point? What is the difference between the while and do while? Hmm. 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 Exactly. For loop is the range based loop. Range based loop. Range based loop. Range based meaning, for example, if I give the assignment to you, I am telling to you, you do the assignment 10 times. There, one range will be there. I am telling you, I am mentioning one condition, I am putting one condition you 10 times. 10 is the range, right? So, range, whenever I mention the time, for example, there Martali will be there. So, I am telling you guys, uh, you go and come Matali 10 times. So if I mention the number like 10 times, 20 times, so that is the range based loop. When I mention the number, that is the range based loop. Here also, whenever you want to repeat the statements based on the number, then that is called for loop. You don't know how many times you want to repeat. You don't know how many times you want to print. So based on the condition, based on the condition it will execute all the statements. Okay, if they ask the difference, for is the range based loop, while is the non range based loop. So based on the condition it will execute all the statements. This is based on the range, it will execute all the statements. Got it? The difference? Got it? While loop, do while loop, for loop. Easy? Anyone is confusing in these three areas? These are very very important, guys. Like I would say operators. Next, conditional statements. Okay, conditional statements, looping statements. We need to practice multiple times. Okay, these three are very important for the logical thinking and very easy topics as well. Logical thinking. If you are good at these three areas, you are strong at logical thinking. You are strong. You are strong at logical thinking, right? Okay, done. For loop also done. We will go with the nested for loop. So nested for loop also very easy. Nested for. So mostly which is used for pattern printings. You know the pattern printings. Pattern printings. I'll show you the pattern printings like. So these kind of patterns, right? If you want to print these kind of patterns, we have the topic that is the nested for loop. These kind of patterns, okay, any kind of pattern you can print. These all are the patterns only, okay. Okay, I'm coming here. So nested for loop, how will you the syntax should be, you can take one for loop which is present inside the another for loop. We have the two for loops, one is the outer for loop, second one is the inner for loop. Normal how you are writing the same, the for loop, this is the one for loop, right? The same in the similarly we will take one more for loop also. We will keep another for loop inside this one, that's enough. I'll show you here. This is the syntax, you can this is the syntax, okay. This is the outer for loop, right? Outer for loop. Here we need to take the initialization and condition. Next, increment or decrement. Increment or decrement. Okay. From here to here, this is the scope of outer for loop. Scope of outer for loop. Scope of outer for loop, right? This is the one for loop. So we learn here only. Okay. The same for loop I am writing inside also. That's enough. If you observe here, the same for loop. Okay, the same for loop, one more for loop, I will write inside only. That's enough. That is called nested for loop. For example, for you can sit beside you. Sorry. Uh, where we are? This is the outer for loop, right? The same one more for loop we can write inside. That is the nested for loop. For example, initialization and then condition, and increment or decrement. Okay, increment or decrement, and from here to here, this is the scope of inner for loop. This is the scope of inner for loop. This is the scope of inner for loop, right? This is the scope of inner for loop. This is the scope of outer for loop. Okay, the same thing. This is nested for loop, meaning one for loop which is present inside the another for loop. This is called outer for loop, this is called inner for loop. Did I change anything? Only I am keeping, I am placing one more for loop inside, one more for loop inside, right? Okay, I will write one program on it, then you will get some clarity on it. The same file I am using here. Oh, already we have one file. Already we have one for loop, right? I am using same thing. So inside this for loop, I am taking one more for loop, that is int j equal to initialization and j less than or equal to 5. You can first time you can try with 5 and then j plus plus. Okay, next scope of inner for loop. This is the scope of inner for loop. So here I am mentioning the statement which is system dot out dot println, and I need to print the star pattern. I need to print the star pattern. So for that purpose I am taking the star pattern. I need to take the star pattern, right? I'm saving the file. Here instead of taking hello, I am taking the star only. I am taking the star. Okay. If I execute this one, then what might be the result you will get? Hmm? It will print. So we'll try to print and we'll execute. Hmm. Java C, and the file has successfully compiled. So if you observe here, it is printing all in single line only. All in single line only. Okay. I am deleting ln, right? I'm deleting ln and I am saving the file, and I am coming here and I am executing the file. If you observe here, it is printing the pattern 3 6 times and 3 6 times, so which is printing like this. Now I want to different pattern which is like instead of 5, if I mention the I, I'm saving the file and I am coming here java c while demo.java and java demo. We are getting the this pattern. We are getting the this pattern. So here what will happen basically, we need to remember in this case one point, that is every execution of outer for loop, every execution of outer for loop, outer for loop, inner for loop will 5 times inner for loop will execute. Okay, every execution of outer for loop 5 times inner for loop will execute. 5 times inner for loop will execute. Are you guys clear with my point? 5 times inner for loop will execute. So if I take the condition as instead of 5, if I take the 10, if I take the 10, then what will happen? Then what will happen? Every execution of outer for loop 10 times inner for loop will execute. 10 times inner for loop will execute. Okay, this is the statement you should remember in case of nested for loop. In case of nested for loop. Okay, nested for loop. Okay, every execution of outer loop 5 times inner for loop will execute. If I take the 10, every execution of outer loop 10 times inner loop will execute. 10 times inner loop it will execute, right? It will execute, right? And here in the interview perspective, they will ask one more question. We have the two methods, right? One method is the print method, and the second method is the println method. Println method. Then what is the difference between the print method and println method? Which method it will go next line? Println. Println is the method which is used to which is used to uh, controller will goes to the next line. Controller will move to next line, right? Next line. But print method, which is used to which is used to controller will in the same line only. Controller will be in same line. So this is the interview perspective. They will ask the difference between the println and print method, and nested for which is used to print the pattern printings. To print the pattern printings, whenever you are practicing at the time. So the first thing, the same way, we can take one outer loop and you can take inner loop. So initially you can try with the number, and after that you can take this variable, and you can try to understand what is happening internally. Okay, what is happening internally. So whoever is thinking the internally process, so they only they can easily they can survive in the industry. Okay, so in the basically we have in the IT industry we have, there is no nepotism, there is no reservations, right? So whoever have the thinking of internally process, so IT people can grab only the like smart people. Okay, we need to understand what is the process happening internally. Okay. This is all about nested for loop. We can practice where we have like lot of patterns we have. So we can practice the similar way you can keep one for loop inside the another for loop, and you can practice with multiple patterns, right? So we done four loops, right? First one we done while loop, do while loop, next for loop, and nested for loop. Nested for loop. And next thing we have the for each loop. So for each loop also very important. This for each loop we will discuss at the arrays concept. So for each loop which is used to iterate the values. Iterate the values. Okay. We will discuss at the arrays concepts. We will discuss at the arrays concept. Okay. Next thing is I would say we can read the data from a keyboard, right? In three ways you can read. First one is buffered reader, second one is the scanner reader, third one is the command line arguments, right? Today we'll try to understand how to read the data from the buffered reader. Buffered reader also one predefined class which is used to take the data from the keyboard. I will show you how it will be. Now we are discussing the topic is read the data from the keyboard. Read the data from the keyboard. Read the data from the keyboard, right? Okay. We can read three ways. Now we are discussing buffered reader. Buffered reader. So buffered reader also the predefined class which is available in java.io package. Java SE8. So this is the document. What is the purpose of this document? Meaning, like Java language is our language or some others company language. Java language is not our language. Okay, Java language is some other company language. Initially, the Java language, Sun Micro system, they has introduced the Java language. After that, like in 2010, Sun Micro system, Sun Micro system, Oracle company acquired the Sun Micro system. Now the under the license everything, whenever you are downloading the JDK software, which is asking Oracle. We need to log in with the Oracle. Meaning initial company is Sun Microsystem. In 2010, Oracle company acquired Sun Microsystem. Okay, Sun Microsystem. This is the document for the Java language. For example, you went for shopping. If you purchase any like electronics goods like a TV, and for example, if you purchase one fridge, right? They will give one user manual. Okay, they in that user manual we have the instructions how to use the washing machine and how to use how much time it will take like if you keep on like three pairs of cloths, four pairs of cloths, if you keep how much it will take, the entire thing, the user manual will be there we have the instructions, right? In the same way, Sun Microsystem is Java language is also not our language, it is also some other company language. In the same way, they are also giving one user manual. This is document is called similar to user manual. Okay, here we have the all predefined classes and everything we can have. We can come to this document and we can process it. For example, right now we are discussing about buffer reader, right? So which is available in the java.io package. And if I open this one, if you read this one, so in the every package, what does it mean by package? Package is group of classes and interfaces. Okay, I am opening java.io package, right? Java.io package. Inside the java.io package, we have the interfaces. Interfaces. These are the interfaces like data input, data output, uh, externalizable file filter, right? In the same way, if I scroll down, if you have the classes also, like buffer reader, buffer writer, console, file descriptor, file reader, file writer, and filter reader, filter writer, output stream, these all are predefined classes. Predefined classes. For this class, they already written some methods, they already written some logic, right? Okay, right now we are discussing about the buffer reader. Okay, if I open the buffer reader class, if I open the buffer reader class, all of you can read this line. All of you can read this line. Read text from character input stream, buffering characters as to provide for the efficient reading of the characters, arrays and lines. Right? These all are the methods. These all are the methods. In the methods topic, we'll get the clarity. So this is the document. The document is very important. So how the user manual is important whenever you purchase new product, right? In the same way, this is also very important. This is also Java also like whoever coming from pure non-IT to IT. So this is also new product in that their cases also. This is the reference document. Based on this reference document, every programmer, whoever is working on the IT industry, which belong to Java, everybody they should know about this file only. Okay, this is similar to user manual. This is the compulsory. Okay, we are discussing right now buffer reader, right? Okay, so here we need to understand one thing. Buffer reader is the predefined class which is used to store, which is used to read the data, which is used to read the data from the keyboard. This is the buffer reader. Buffer reader. This is the buffer reader. And here we need to remember the main purpose of buffer reader, which is used to read the data from the keyboard. Buffered reader. Buffered reader. Okay. But it cannot directly read data from the keyboard. It needs one assistant. Buffer reader cannot directly read the data from the keyboard. It needs one assistant. It needs one assistant. That assistant name is input stream reader. Input stream reader. Are you guys clear with my point? It cannot directly read the data from the keyboard. It need one assistant. That assistant name is input stream reader. That assistant name is input stream reader. Okay, input stream reader. This one is input stream reader. Okay, this is input stream reader. Input stream reader. Okay, this is also one predefined class. This is also one predefined class, and here we need to take the input. We will take the input from the keyboard. You can assume this is the keyboard. This is the keyboard, and for example, if you type anything, this is the keyboard, right? This is the keyboard. If you type anything, which is which will take system.in. System.in meaning input to the system. Are you guys clear with the point? We are giving input to the system. So that's why we are mentioning system.in. We are mentioning system.out. What does it mean by system.out? System is returning output of. Here system.in. We need to mention system.in. Meaning we are giving input to the system. We are giving input to the system. Are you guys clear with my point? Buffer reader is the predefined class which is used to read the data from the keyboard, but it cannot directly read the data from the keyboard. It need one assistant. That assistant name is input stream reader. Okay, it will take the help input stream reader, and first what will happen whenever you are giving the input from the keyboard. First, input stream reader will take the data. That data it will give to the buffer reader. This is the process. It will happen internally. Are you guys clear with my point? We can read the data from the buffer reader. So how it cannot directly read the data from the keyboard. It need one assistant. That assistant name is input stream reader. That assistant name is input stream reader. Input stream reader. Okay, I will show you. I will write the program and then I will show you how the process which is happens internally. Then we'll get the clarity. So input stream reader also, which is available in java.io package. If you open the java.io package and the classes, these are the classes, right? Classes, and if you scroll up, we have the classes, right? So input stream reader. This is the predefined class or our class. This is the predefined class. If I open the system dot stream reader, um, if you read this one, input stream reader is a bit from byte streams to character streams. It read the byte and decode them into characters using a specified char set. Meaning whatever the we are giving the data, so it will be initially it will be taken like as the byte, and the stream reader it will convert the byte code to characters. That characters it should give to buffer reader. Buffer reader. So initially we are giving the input here. So it will take as a byte code, and it will convert it like as the characters. That characters it will give to the buffer reader. Buffer reader. So this is the assistant for the buffer reader. Okay. So in the input stream reader, these are the methods we have. Okay. Now I will write one program on it, then we'll get the clarity on it. So for example, the same file I will take. So first one, buffer reader, which is used to take the data from the keyboard, right? Buffer reader, and I am mentioning. So these are predefined classes or our classes? Predefined classes. How to use predefined classes in our classes? We need to import. Okay, we need to import those classes, and we can use those logic in our classes, right? So for importing, we will mention import statements, and here we need to create object for the predefined classes. New buffered reader, okay, buffered reader, okay, and I have created the object. So can I use directly object like this? No. We need to store this object in some reference variable. I am mentioning the reference variable is br, and this br is variable or what? This is the variable. So variable we need to mention data type. Compulsory we need to mention the data type. The data type is buffered reader, okay, buffered reader, okay. So this is the buffered reader. We are creating the object for the buffer reader, and we are storing, we cannot directly use the object. That's why we are storing this object in some reference variable. Variable data type is the buffer reader, okay. Okay, next here. So buffer reader cannot read the directly from the keyboard. We need one assistant. That assistant is input stream reader. Input stream reader. How will you, this input stream reader also predefined class, right? So we need to create the object for the input stream reader with the help of new operator. In the operator concepts we done about the new operator. New is the keyword which is used to create objects. Whenever you are mentioning the new, then the generator immediately it will give the memory in the heap area. Okay, input stream reader, input stream reader, okay, and I cannot reuse directly like this. I'm storing this reference variable in some variable, and this variable data type is input stream reader only. Input stream reader, input stream reader. Are you guys clear with my point? Now this class which is read the data from the keyboard, right? And whatever the data this class is read, the data will be stored in the this variable. This variable I am passing as a input to the buffer reader, buffer reader, okay. And I am saving the file. And the next thing is we need to read the data from the keyboard. We need to read the data from the keyboard, right? So how will you read the data from the keyboard? So pr dot read line. Read line is the method. Read line is the method which is available in buffer reader, right? So if I go buffer reader, buffer reader, okay. Here we have the multiple methods, right? Read line. If you all of you guys read this one, reads a line of text. Reads a line of text. You should use the read line method. We have the read method. So what is the main purpose of the read method? Uh, Single character, to read the single character. So the everything, the methods, the main purpose, and everything will everything, the information which is available in this document, right? Read is the method, and read line, ready, reset, skip method, mark method, lines method, close method. So these all are the methods only. Read line, okay, I am reading the data. This data I am storing in some variable I am mentioning as ss, and the data, whatever the data it is reading, the data which is in the string format, right? String format. In the last session I explained like role finder. For example, the same cases I am here taking here. For example, I am taking the role finder. if I will take the condition, so if the person have the experience in between greater than or equal to 0, okay, and then if the experience less than or equal to 2, I need to display the person is belonging to associate engineer. The person is belonging to associate engineer. The person is belonging to associate engineer. Are you guys clear with my point? System dot out dot println, and here we need to mention associate engineer. Associate engineer. Okay. In the same way, you can take multiple conditions as well. Okay. I am copying this one and I am pasting here. Here you can take 3 to 5. I am saving this one. Here I am mentioning software engineer. Okay. I am mentioning software engineer. Right. Okay. So remaining similar, remaining also same thing. Here we will mention else if, right? We will mention else if. If you have the multiple conditions also, the same way you can take. Okay. This is reading the which this is reading characters, meaning which is whatever the data which is reading, this all are the characters we are storing in the string, but this is the experience which is we are checking with the number, we are comparing with a number, but here we have the string. Then how will you convert string to integer? How will you convert string to integer? So for that purpose we have the integer class. I will show you java.io classes. We can we can check in java.lang, java.lang, and if you open the java.lang, here you can check classes will be there. Yeah. Oh, this is the class section, right? This is the class category. If you observe here, integer, integer is the one predefined class. If I open the integer class, if I open the integer class, so this is the hierarchy of the integer class. Okay. uh, Integer is the current class. Parent class of the integer is the number class. Parent class of the number is the object. Object is the parent class for all the classes in Java. Object is the parent class. Object is the parent class for all the classes in Java, right? Here we have the methods. Okay, these are the methods: equals method, okay, equals method, float value method, get integer method, get integer method, and hash code method. Okay, int return value, long value, max value, min value, and parsing method. Parsing method. If you observe here, parsing method. Parsing method, which is used to convert string to decimal. Okay. Okay, I'm using the same. I'm using the same like integer. Uh, integer. What does it mean by integer? Integer. Integer is the predefined class, right? Dot parse inter. Parse inter. So what does it mean? Integer is the predefined class. This is the static method. So how will you invoke the static method? We can invoke the static method with the help of class name. We can invoke the static method with the help of class name. Okay, this string I am passing as a input to the parsing method, and this one I am storing in expression variable, and then I would say This one I am mentioning as some integer data type. Integer data type. Got it? And I am saving the file. Okay. And here we need to, these are coming from the java.io package. For we need to import the statements as well. The statements are like this: import space java.io. If I want to specify, you can specify, but in my case I want to use all the classes which are available in, so I need to mention all. So java.io star hash. Okay, I'm saving this one, and I'm going to my command prompt, and then I will try to execute, and then compile. Then we'll see what might be the errors it will come. Okay, which is coming. The errors, you can read the errors. So input stream reader. Okay, which is coming the line number 6, right? Might be spelling mistake. Which one? This one or this one? Yeah, yeah. This is the one mistake, right? Input stream reader, right? This is also fine. So where the second mistake, we have the two errors. One is the buffer reader, and the second one is input stream reader. ISR equal to input stream reader. Okay, this one we are passing here only. Then we'll try to compile, and then we'll see what might be the it will throw the errors. I'm compiling the file javac, and then now it is showing the one error. So the error which is okay, which is throwing one error, which is belong to basically input stream reader. ISR equal to new input stream reader. Yeah, we are taking the data from the input now, so we need to mention system.in. Okay, we are mentioning, we are taking the input, we are giving the input to the system. We need to mention system.in, right? We need to mention system.in, right? So we need to compile the file, and we need to execute the file. Then what it is showing the error? uh, IO exception. We need to we need to catch the IO exception. We need to throw the exception. Whatever we don't want, we need to throw the exception, right? So here also we have the throws keyword. This is the main method, right? So throws keyword, and we can mention the exception. You can mention the exception, right? Saving the file, and then I am going here, and then I am compile the file. So the file has successfully compiled, right? So we need to execute the file java.demo, and here it is asking for the input. Okay, if I mention the 3, then what might be the result? Software engineer. So I am giving, I have written the program. We are giving 3 as an input, and if you observe, we are coming software engineer, right? So if you, I am saying like again I am compiling my file. It is asking if I mention 2, then you will get the associate engineer. You will get the associate. Are you guys clear with my point? This is the way to read the data from the keyboard. This is the way to read the data from the keyboard. So we are taking the data from the keyboard, and we are checking the multiple conditions, and we are giving the result. So based on this, I will give 2 or 3 assignments. The combination of input buffer reader and conditions. Okay. And then after this, I will give the assignments on looping statements as well. Okay. All of assignments I will share in the group. Please go through it, do the assignment, share in the group. Okay. This is all about